Why is public speaking an important skill to develop? Business executives who are effective communicators make more money. Developing your communication skills and learning how to speak in public has both personal and professional benefits. Professional benefits of effective public speaking helps your position as a leader, provides opportunities for career advancement, positions you as an expert and an authority in your field, increases your professional network, establishes strong credibility, provides you global exposure. Personal and social benefits of effective public speaking makes you feel empowered as you find your voice and express yourself freely, increases your self-confidence, releases happy hormones and makes you feel good. Greater social influence increases your networking opportunity as more and more people get to know you, increases your ability to influence, improves your memory, gives you a better control on your emotions and improves your body language. There is a famous quote, "Speech is power. Speech is to persuade, to convert, and to compel." What is public speaking and how is it different from other forms of communication? Public speaking is defined as the process of speaking to a group of people in a structured, deliberate manner intended to inform, influence, or entertain the listeners. Presentation, on the other hand, involves speaking to a specific objective, coordinating that speech with a series of slides, images, and data points that reinforce that objective and outcome. Let us look at a table which compares the two forms. Mode of delivery for public speaking, moderate to less use of PowerPoint, whereas in presentation, predominantly PowerPoint based. Audience size, on the larger side for public speaking, greater than 20, presentation lesser than 20. Charisma, higher. You need a higher level of charisma for public speaking compared to presentation. Complexity, again for public speaking, is higher compared to a simple presentation delivery. Location of delivery for a public speaking event is usually a podium of a large auditorium, stage, or outdoors in an open space, whereas presentations are usually delivered in meeting or boardrooms. How old is this form of communication? Well, public speaking is very old. It dates back to 490 to 322 BC, about 2500 years old. Presentation is relatively newer, around 100 years old. Reliance on presentation props in public speaking is much higher compared to presentation, and stand-up platform skills is again higher in public speaking. Public speaking dates back to the Greek period of 490 to 322 BC. Aristotle, the teacher of Alexander the Great, is one of the most famous ancient scholars of the art of public speaking. In his times, men were required to give speeches as part of their civic duties. Speaking in the legislative assembly required them to master the skill. Good speaking skills were also important if you wanted a prominent social life, as all the rich and famous were very good at it and it was an important status symbol. Aristotle propounded the first set of 3 rules of public speaking known to mankind. These are also called the pillars of persuasion. He knew that to rally the citizens into conformity, one needed to persuade them. This is also known as rhetoric. It's defined as the capacity to persuade people, and he broke it down into 3 strategies. Ethos is creating an argument to win over people by emphasizing the speaker's credibility, expertise, experience, and authority. The speaker could emphasize his expertise to the audience so that he can build credibility. The process of doing so is called ethos. Ethos shares a root with the word ethics. Logos means logic. It is the art of persuading and convincing your audience by using logic. For example, all men are mortal. Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. Pathos means to stir up emotions of pity, sympathy, and sorrow. It is used for emotional appeal to be able to influence, compel, or convert the audience. Another prominent figure in history, Marcus Cicero, a lawyer, politician, and philosopher, was famous for being a great orator. Around 50 BC, he wrote his treatise called the Orator, where he explained his 5 canons of rhetoric. To this date, these 5 principles are greatly used by public speakers, and these are: invention refers to developing the key argument for the speech or the key text. It is the process of brainstorming where you decide what are the key points that you want to make and what will appeal to the audience. Arrangement refers to ordering your points in a manner such that they are logical as well as create a level of pathos which is compelling. Style refers to your style of delivery. Are you going to use humor, sarcasm, or wit in your speech, or are you going to use the form of storytelling to influence your audience? Is the opening going to be dramatic? These are individual choices that will define your style. Memory, as the name suggests, is the process of committing the key points and the text to memory. Delivery is the process of delivering the speech. It entails how you use your voice, your rate of speech, and your body language. As Plato said, rhetoric is the art of ruling the minds of men. Gaining expertise in these 5 elements of rhetoric can make you into an influencer with immense power. What are the components of an effective public speech? Pre-work. This entails getting to know your audience so that your speech is audience-centric. Now, to do that, you need to ask yourself a few questions. How many people will be attending? What is the audience expecting from the talk? What is the gender ratio of the audience? What is the education and social background of the audience? Are there topics that you think your audience will be very sensitive about? What amount of time have you been allocated? The more you get to know your audience, the more you will be able to customize your message so that it appeals to them. Decide the purpose of your speech. Are you intending to inform and teach, motivate and inspire, influence, convince or persuade, train or entertain? Once you're clear of the above, you will proceed to start preparing for the actual delivery. Now that is divided into 3 parts. 10% of the total time is the introduction, 80% is the actual body of the presentation, and 10% for the conclusion. An introduction. The first 30 seconds of your talk should make it very clear to the audience on what you're planning to achieve in the talk today. Introductions can be of different types. A brief description of your background qualification, credentials, and experience. Narrate an incident that establishes empathy with the audience. Use humor, tell a joke. Use an anecdote, quote, or personal experience. Ask a question, for example, are leaders born or made? Use a prop to intrigue your audience. The body of your presentation is the crux of your speech. Here is where you deliver to the promise you made to your audience in the introduction. The key points to focus on during the delivery of your speech are body language. The fundamentals of body language that we have discussed in our body language videos apply to public speaking as well. Here we are going to focus on key points that are specific to public speaking, and these are: before beginning the talk, take the time to adjust your microphone and arrange your notes. Preferably avoid having notes and have it memorized. If you can't do that, then have an outline with key points or small cards. When your name is called out, don't rush to grab the mic. Move purposefully and smoothly. The audience will view it as a sign of confidence. Don't forget to smile, especially as you begin your speech. It shows you're in command of the situation and it relaxes the audience. Ensure you're moving around the stage in a purposeful manner. Take a step forward in a diagonal way and stop. Then make eye contact with that part of the audience. Then take a step back to the right and stop and look at the audience for some time. Then continue this pattern. Walk slowly to the other part of the stage and stop and look at the audience. By the end, you should have covered the entire front stage of the stage and made eye contact with all sides of the audience. Make steady eye contact with one section of the audience by locking eyes with someone and finishing a thought before you turn your attention to the next person. Point number 2, vocal tone. Again, the fundamentals of vocal tone to public speaking are the same as in other forms of communication, so do go and look at our vocal tone videos that are there in the description. However, there's one big difference that we want to point out for public speaking, a point that you really need to focus on, and that is voice projection. Remember, for a public speaking event, you will be in a venue which is a bigger size with larger number of people present in it. So you want to make sure that you test your mic before the actual event. The very last person in the room should be able to hear you. It is very common that even with a mic, your voice sounds very soft and a lot of people are not able to hear you properly. You don't want that to happen, so please do test your mic. And the other thumb rule is, don't keep the mic near your chest. Keep it just below your mouth. The structure of the speech is covered by the same principles as that of making a presentation, and it is covered in our presentation styles video. However, there is one point that stands out for public speaking, and that is the excessive use of pathos. Public speaking usually emphasizes the pathos a lot more, and this is usually done by expressing your emotions more dramatically, and you could use that by sharing anecdotes from your personal life experiences or by storytelling. Point number 3, conclusion. The conclusion of your speech is where you leave a footprint in your listener's mind. This is where you recap your message and leave a lasting impression with your audience. Some tips to make a memorable conclusion. Summarize the top 2-3 points from your speech. You could conclude with a challenge for the audience, which leaves them inspired to implement some of the ideas you suggested. For example, how artificial intelligence has helped us transform in the last 1 year. Use a quotation or an anecdote which summarizes your key message. That can be very inspiring and it can leave the audience enthralled. Make sure you always time your speech in a manner that you have enough time to make a memorable concluding statement to your speech that will leave a lasting impression on your audience. How to conduct an effective Q&A session. Conducting an effective Q&A session involves the following. When can an audience ask you a question? How can they ask it? And then how to answer. For a public speaking event, given the size of the audience, it is usually best to keep the Q&A at the end of the speech. However, if your speech is divided into different sections, you could have the audience ask you questions at the end of each section. Whatever your choice is, it is best that you establish the Q&A norms right at the beginning of the speech. How can the audience ask you questions? Now, the most common are they can raise their hands or they can send notes to the stage, or these days there are many apps available which allow the speaker to interact with the audience. The audience can ask questions as well as vote, and you can even conduct a poll through these apps which will appear on the screen for the whole audience to see. Depending on your preference, choose the right style and make sure you indicate it clearly to the audience so that they feel that you as a speaker are welcoming their interaction. How to answer? Here are some tips on the best ways to answer. Be concise, be human, be honest, be positive, stay focused, demonstrate good listening, paraphrase. Don't enter into any kind of verbal match to and fro. Know when to deflect to the next question. Don't get stuck on one question and give others a chance to ask. How to handle mic and props and some dressing up tips. You should always check the sound system before the event and never test it in front of the audience. Make sure the mic does not cover your full face. Do not wear jewelry like danglers that will interfere with the mic. Make sure your hair is falling such that it does not brush against the mic. Keep the arm that is holding the mic stationary. Hold the mic from the middle and keep it close to your mouth. Use props only and if only you're very comfortable with them. If using the projector, make sure you don't stand in front of it. Deciding what to wear for the event, Dress up one notch above what you think your audience will be dressed in. For example, if they are going to be very casual, you go semi-casual. And if they are semi-casual, you dress up formally. One of my favorite quotes: the way to overcome shyness is to get so wrapped up into something that you forget to be afraid. And another one: if you can speak, you can influence. And if you can influence, you can change lives. Public speaking is a life-transforming opportunity. Go grab it.